Hi guys, so a simple question. How the heck did Liz Truss get the job of International Trade Secretary, and how the heck did Liz Truss get the job of Foreign Secretary? But then following the knighthood of Gavin Williamson, it's clear that Boris Johnson doesn't choose people based on competence, but on loyalty or maybe even sycophancy. So Liz Truss appeared before the Foreign Affairs Select Committee and she demonstrated a complete lack of understanding not just of what's going on both inside and outside her government, but a lack of understanding of how departments work. I want to show you two clips where she had her arse handed to her by both a Labour and Tory MP.
How many additional visas have been given to Ukrainians since the invasion began by the UK?
I don't have the figure, but I think
It's 50.
Yeah, the Home Secretary
It's 50.
Announced that. Yeah.
Liz Truss didn't know. This was recorded on Monday. I knew, and I'm not the Foreign Secretary. Now, either she didn't know, or she was lying about it. Obviously, it was probably the latter, because if she didn't know it was 50, then where the heck has she been over the last few days?
You're not ashamed by that?
Well, the Home Secretary has announced two routes. One is the family visa route, and the other is the sponsorship route. And I know the Home Office are working very hard to issue visas.
You're not ashamed that other countries are taking in tens and tens of thousands, and we, who have known longer than any of the other countries that this was going to happen and should have been preparing for it, and your department should have been preparing for it, we've only managed to give out 50 visas so far.
Well, I can assure you, Chris, that we have been preparing for it. We've been preparing for it since well before the end of last year. That's
Okay, but then how did you only take in 50? If you had been, if your response had been, look, we didn't prepare for it because we didn't know. That's why we only took in 50. But your response is, no, we have been preparing for it since last year. Well then, why? Can you explain, why did you only take in 50?
why we sent our forward deployment teams to locations in Poland, Slovakia, to provide direct support to people leaving Ukraine.
Then?
Well, it's really a matter for the Home Secretary exactly how the visa process works.
So it's about passing the buck. It's nothing to do with me. You need to speak to Priti Patel.
I suggest that
part of it's done by you, isn't it? Part of it's done by your department.
No, it's not.
People have to come to you. People have to come to your post to be able to get, as they did in Afghanistan. It was exactly the same issue to get their biometric details taken.
I believe that's a Home Office responsibility that operates out of our post.
It's not. It's the role of the Foreign Office.
How does somebody in Ukraine at the moment get biometric details for a visa to come to the UK?
Would you like to?
So I can give.
Does she not understand the difference between the Home Office and the Foreign Office? If she was some backbench MP or Tory party supporter, you could probably let her get away with it. But she's the Foreign Secretary. Does she understand what foreign means? Oh my God. Does she think that the Home Office is sending people out to places like Slovakia on their own, that there's no collaboration with the Foreign Office? That's the reason why there's a Foreign Office.
One example on that, I mean, the Foreign Secretary is absolutely right, it's a Home Office responsibility, but of course the Foreign Office fully supports that. And to give an example, so only last week we've opened up a sort of a pop-up visa application centre just on the border of the other side, the other side on the Polish border, 25.
They keep saying that look at all the things we've done, but that doesn't explain why there were only 50 people registered. Why were only 50 people allowed in? You can talk about, yeah, we did this and we done that, but then how is it that Italy took in 11,300? I actually made a video the other day where I mentioned 3,000. I was actually wrong. It was 11,300 Italy has taken in. And Italy's not famous for being dynamic when it comes to bureaucracy. Ireland, 1,500. For Dominic Raab, I know it's a bit difficult to understand that Ireland is further away from Ukraine than the UK is. So it doesn't matter, yeah, we did this, we did that, we planned and everything in advance, But the question is, why was it only 50? So Liz Truss also was questioned by a Tory MP.
Do you believe that the invasion of Ukraine is a crime against peace?
I believe it's an illegal invasion.
I'm quite specific about the terms I'm using. Do you believe that it is a war of aggression?
Well, that's a matter for the ICC.
Well,
but I believe it's
not
an
a matter.
illegal.
No, quite
I
specifically,
believe
it's
it's
not
an
a matter.
illegal invasion.
Okay, it's quite specifically not a matter for the ICC because under treaty the ICC doesn't have the jurisdiction over that.
He has to explain to her the role of the ICC. Like, how did she get this job? Did she actually do any, reading up on what a foreign secretary is responsible for? What a foreign secretary has to know? The scope of that job.
It is, however, a matter for Russian Criminal Code Article 353. It is also a matter that was adjudicated in Nuremberg in the Tokyo trials in 1940.
Tom, I think this is well above Liz's pay grade, okay? I think you're going into too much detail here, and you're talking about historical fact here, but you shouldn't really be doing this. This is Liz Truss we're talking about.
1947. Do you believe that the invasion of Ukraine by Russia is a war of aggression?
Well, it's certainly an aggressive act. I'll need to look into the specific legalities of what you mentioned.
The reason it matters is because the ICC specifically does not have the capability or the capacity to investigate wars of aggression. It's not charged with it, it doesn't have it within its treaty, and therefore it can't do it. Do you believe a new international tribunal should be set up to look into whether or not this is a war of aggression, to collect evidence of it being so, and perhaps to charge, as was done before, those who began this war with the criminal conspiracy of beginning a war of aggression?
We think the best route to hold Putin to account for what he's done is through the ICC, but I'm certainly willing to look at other routes.
Liz Truss sounds like somebody who doesn't know what she's talking about, but she has to pretend like she knows what she's talking about. So yes, that's a really interesting point. You mentioned the ICC. Yeah, we'll definitely consider that. But all options are on the table here. She obviously has no idea what she's talking about.
The ICC clearly doesn't have this capability.
No, I hear what you say, but I'm certainly willing to consider other routes.
You're willing to consider supporting an international tribunal that people like Philippe Sands and the chairs of, I think it's now over a dozen foreign affairs committees have called for?
I'm willing to look at it, yes.
Yeah. And I look at the Chewbacca defense as well, and I listen to Klingon law as well. It's like she has obviously no understanding, and she's been embarrassed on a number of occasions here. She is the wrong person for this job. And why was she chosen? Because she's a fan of Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson knows whatever he tells Liz Truss to do, she will do it. She's a career politician. Remember, she used to be a Remainer. She used to be supportive of the UK remaining in the European Union. And as soon as the Brexit referendum came in, what did she do? She jumped ship. She became a Brexiteer. She's incompetent. She doesn't know what she's doing. And she's an embarrassment, in fact. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.